Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a reaction video to 1-star reviews of my favorite books. So I've been wanting to do this video for a while now and might as well get that done, especially since I know now what my favorite books of all time are. Since I'm filming on my phone, I will be using my iPad to check the actual reviews, and I'll try to put a screenshot afterwards in the editing process of the actual comments that I reacted to, if that makes any sense. So today I'm gonna talk about 3 of those favorite books. So we've got obviously the 5th season, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, and Strange the Dreamer. Okay, let's go. So it does have a 4.31 rating on Goodreads, which is quite high. I don't think we're gonna find a lot of 1-star reviews. Okay, so I have one here that says, and it's a long one, equal parts slow, boring, unrelatable with a writing style that feels extremely awkward. Okay, so I get that this could put off a lot of people because it is a very peculiar way of writing, and it's a very N.K. Jemisin type of way to write. I haven't read any other of their books. You can feel that it's very specific to this author. Using second person as a narrative is not very common, and the way that it's written and that it all makes sense together is very uncommon as well, which I'm very curious to see how it's gonna stay that way in books number 2 and 3. I'm not worried, I'm just curious, but I can understand that it might not be for you. But so yeah, you might feel a little bit awkward with the writing style, but slow, I can get that because some parts are slow, true. But it's high fantasy. You do need to take your time with it, and maybe high fantasy is not for you. Boring, unrelatable. Okay, I don't find it boring at all, but if you don't understand the system, how it works, how the world is, and you don't like the characters, I can understand that you find it boring, thus you're not interested in it, which is fine. But even if I don't like a specific world, even if I don't like a writing style, I can still acknowledge that it's good or not. And like just my own enjoyment will not bring a book to a 1-star, that's for sure. Which, I mean, to each their own. And it's fine. I'm not shaming anyone who's rating 1 star. But yeah, unrelatable, I feel like that shouldn't be something that make you not want to read books. Because one of the reasons why I want to read book is, yes, I like to feel that I relate to the main characters, because Strange the Dreamer is one of these type of books where I like it so much because I can relate so much to Laszlo Strange. But I like to also not necessarily relate, but just learn of how other people can live, how other people go through life, how other people deal with hardship and challenges in life. And I like to see how other people do it. Like, I don't have to relate to every character that I read. I can still enjoy them even if I don't relate. So yeah, this person DNF'd it. I'll put a screenshot so you can pause and read if you want to. Also, the audiobook may not be the right route for it. I don't know. I'm not an audiobook person. I don't know if it's better with the audiobook or not. If someone has read the audiobook, please let me know in the comments if you prefer like physically or audiobook. But he does manage to say that it was a good narrator. So yeah, second person was very off-putting, which is totally understandable. I'm surprised that this person did not enjoy the twist and saw it coming a mile away, because I usually see them coming a while away, and I can still appreciate a twist beforehand, before it's revealed. I don't know. See, I feel like this review is very nuanced, and I feel it doesn't reflect a 1-star rating, but to each their own rating system, which I understand this book was not for him, which is fine. Here we have another one. This book was a huge disappointment for me. Okay, the plot twist is obviously very off-putting to some people, which is fine, but like saying the author is asking us to marvel at her ingenuity with this great surprise. I don't agree with that. There's no arrogance in N.K. Jemisin's writing. I think that when you have too much high expectations of a book, that can tend to bias the way you read a book, and maybe that is it. But I don't agree with that part of his review. I just updated my vlog of the 5th season of my reading of Broken Earth trilogy, and I was just saying this. So this is interesting because it says the book is a letdown on so many levels. Unrelatable characters. Again, same thing as before. I don't think that unrelatable characters should be something that gives a book a 1-star review. Slow, repetitious plot, clunky writing style, inconsistent pacing, poorly developed magic system, narrow world building. So see, reading it and rereading it, I feel like we're not given all of the pieces of the puzzle, and we're going to have more in books 2 and 3. That's how I'm perceiving it, and it's fine. You don't have to understand everything that's going on. You have to keep a little bit for later, which is how I'm perceiving this book. And unfortunately, I think he didn't see it that way. I don't think that the writing style is clunky at all. I can get how slow it is, but repetitious, I don't agree with that either. Poorly developed, I think it's just that we are following characters that do not fully understand the limits of their power, and we're learning about it with them. And that's why you feel it's not fully developed. It's because we don't have all of the answers right now. And that's fine. And some people are not fine with that, like finishing a book and not fully understanding everything that's to understand to the system in the world. Yeah. Okay. What a waste of time. I'm very disappointed in this book. No characters, no plot, not even pages. What is this? It turns out it doesn't actually exist at this point, and not for another year. So trying to read it now is fruitless. How are these other people rating it at 4 or more? What WTF? I don't understand. But this... Okay, so this review was from 2014, and the book was out officially in 2015. So maybe he got an ARC and he couldn't actually get access to the book, but like rating a book 1 star for that reason is... okay, don't know what's going on here. DNF. I know I'm in a minority here, as most of my Goodreads friends, whose reviews I often look to for recommendations, rated this book very highly. I just couldn't get past the style. Yeah, second person present tense. I found I was so distracted by the style that I wasn't paying attention to what was happening. Then I realized I had no idea what was going on. Yeah, that I can understand. Second person is definitely not for everyone. And I really love to immerse myself in my head and visualizing everything and imagining everything. So the second person really helps with that. But if you're not that type of a reader, I can understand how like that second person narrating style could put you off. All right, let's go with one last one. Just terrible. The writer does not understand money, electricity, physics, or bureaucracies. It's fantasy. The book has no ending. It's the first of a trilogy. No climax, which means it's not a story. A story has a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, I don't think we've read the same book. What? Okay. The setting has no internal consistency. It's an agrarian culture with people on horses, knives, and crossbows for weapons. Compasses are very valuable. Telescopes are rare. Each community its own political entity. But wait, later there are telegraphs, books are plentiful, and electric lights. Okay, I think you definitely did not understand the world building. And like fantasy can be the world you decide it is. I don't agree with the consistency thing. And I'm someone who is very critical when it comes to coherence and consistency. But I don't agree here because he definitely didn't understand that, like, it doesn't matter that, like, technology exists because it's all broken every time there's a season and you have to bring things back up from the ground every time it happens if you manage to survive that long. And the point is, like, we build infrastructures with rock because that's what stays over time. Yeah, electricity is not going to stay over time, and like stuff like that is more dangerous than not. And homes wouldn't stay for hundreds of years, wouldn't survive a season, and it's always about surviving. So you can have like the biggest technologies ever and still have electricity and stuff like that. And yes, you can have your own little villages and like one country deciding not to be like that, decide how they function. Like that could happen. I mean, it's fiction. We try to imagine things as they are not in the real world as it is right now. And if you can't fathom that, don't read fantasy at all. It's about seeing a way to live in a survival mode in a different functioning world. That's in a world that's functioning very differently than ours. That's the point of fantasy, but yeah, whatever. The beginning of the book, maybe the first sixth, is essentially words demanding an aspirin. Wow. Yes, there's a lot of info, but what? Okay, that's harsh. The book moves between characters, no problem. However, the author chooses to use game voice with quotation marks for one of the characters. You look around, you answer the question, you wonder what blah, blah, blah. Game voice is only good for games? What? Okay. Oh my God. The book is something like Action Comics. The characters with superpowers repeatedly forget they have them or use them in ways that don't make sense. And the minor characters forget repeatedly, hey, that primary character can kill me quite easily. That's not how the magic system works at all. They have no control over the magic, so what? Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but okay. The narrator is a master thespian. Her Kirk-like pauses add about an hour to the book. Okay, if you've read it by audio, like, I can't comment on that. Okay, let's move on. So, The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi has a 4.28 ratings on Goodreads, which is also very, very good. So let's see some 1-star reviews. All right, let's go with this first one. That it says, this is an objectively terrible book. I really wanted to like it because the idea sounds awesome, but the execution was really poor, which I have to disagree on that. Let's start with the setting. If you're writing historical fiction or historical fantasy, you should try to be historically accurate. Okay, I cannot comment on the historical aspects. I don't know. I haven't done my research, but it's not historical fiction and it's fantasy. Yes, based on some things that did happen in real life and history, but it's still fantasy. And she can do pretty much what she wants with her book and her setting and her world building if it's fantasy. I'm not gonna say anything else than that, but okay. The setting itself feels very generic. This could basically be your stereotypical fantasy world, just given a vaguely Islamic coat of paint. Yes, again, you're sticking to this historical fiction thing, and it's not historical fiction. It's a fantasy world. So maybe expectations, maybe the marketing thing is at fault here. Maybe this reviewer keeps referring it being a story based in the Indian Ocean in the early 12th century. But yeah, it says here that it did not help that the characters usually thought and behaved like 21st century Americans rather than 12th century Yemenites, and moreover like the kind of Americans who spend all their time on Twitter ranting about politics. What? No, I'll have to disagree. First of all, I don't know how people behaved in the 12th century. I don't think you did either, because everything that we learn in history is biased by the people who tell about it. So I don't know where you're seeing the Twitter thing. There is a sort of like narrating, keeping track of and archiving everything that's happening throughout the book. There is some humor in that, and I don't think it's accurate. I think the issue here is that this reviewer was expecting something very historically accurate, and it's not that. And yes, the story happens a long time ago around the Crusades and stuff like that, but she pretty much made it her own. And yes, she did add some little things in there that freshen the story up, that gives this story not a twist, but some flavor in it that is more closer to our era than the 12th century era. But I don't think it's pretending to be historically accurate, if that makes any sense. The protagonist was the worst in that respect. We are told she is a famous pirate queen that looks like a giant and was able to get out of a lot of tough situations, but she never behaved like one. Because that was in the past. When you get older, you're not physically in the same state that you are in your 40s compared to when you were in your 20s. Like, that is not even comparable. And I'm in my mid 30s, and I can tell you right away, I can't do a lot of things that I did do when I was in my 20s. Like that, yeah, no. Especially having a kid since then, like, no. And that's totally normal. That's one of the things that I really love about this book, is that we have an older character that's not in their 20s and cannot still step up to what they did in the past. Even if they were the best of the best, like, age catch up with you. So yeah, obviously we're gonna have hardship and challenges. Obviously, I was promised a badass pirate queen, not a bumbling fool with an overrated reputation. Wow. That is harsh. Even the plot was just a bunch of generic tropes and cliches inexpertly stitched together. I don't agree with that. The old retired badass having to take one last job, then bringing together her party one by one, then having to fight a one-dimensional evil wizard wanting to become a god by using a magical artifact of doom. It was very poorly paced and got more and more nonsensical as time went on. Wow, I have to really strongly disagree with you. I'm sorry. Yep. No. Well, I feel like I will get hate for this, but as a Muslim, I feel like I need to say this. I know writers are trying to be inclusive, but I feel like some are trying to normalize prohibited thoughts. I know that people with all different sexualities have existed through history in different parts of the world, and they deserve to be treated with respect like any other human being. But when writing about an MFC who is Muslim, at least the religion should be respected, and it's thought it is. Okay, this one is from a Muslim reviewer and talks about like how the diverse sexuality thing should be prohibited. And I'm not from a Muslim religion, so I cannot comment on that at all. But yeah, they do say, since it is a fantasy book, why not invent a new religion? I find it really difficult to comment on that because, like, from what I understand, not all religions are practiced in the same way as other people from the same religion. So I can understand how this person might feel like it's not respecting the religion, but I can understand it. I don't think it's an invalid point. Yeah, I think it merits some reflection on that. I don't know how to process that in a good comment on that. I don't know. If you do have an opinion on that, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know your insights and see what other people think about that. Let's see, one last one. DNF'd at 30%. This had a promising beginning, but after Amina set off on her journey, everything fell flat. And my mind was constantly wandering, not paying attention to the story. Since I didn't reach halfway into the book, I can't add this as a finished book to my reading goal. Okay, that's on you though. DNF at 29%. Nothing was happening. Too slow paced for me, and I didn't want to wait for it to get good. Okay, all right. I listened to about 6 of the 17 hours and decided to DNF because I was mostly bored, didn't care about anyone or anything that happened, and felt talked down to more and more on audiobooks. So I don't know. I didn't feel that reading the book like physically. I don't know for the audiobook. Okay. So there's a lot of DNFs. I did not like the style of the writing in this book. I couldn't get past the second chapter. I think it's trying too hard to become a classic. How can you get that from a first chapter? What? What do you mean trying hard to become a classic? What does that mean? I don't understand at all. 2024 can't get any worse. Every book is worse than the last. What's happening? Poor book choices, I guess. Or where did all the good books in the world disappear to? Everyone with a computer becomes a writer. It's just unbelievable. So many recommendations for this book. I really wanted strong and interesting characters. The search for interest in this book is extensive. I don't understand the excitement. The only thing that excites in this book is the cover, and that's why there's an option to give 1 star. Save your time and don't pay for this garbage. It's just a shame. What? There's no argument here for the 1 star review. Was boring AF. It needed me a year to finish it, and I did with the help of an audiobook speed of twice 2x. It was one of my anticipated books since 2019. I should have never got that excited because it's not worth it at all, even though I gave it a chance to the last page, and my opinion hasn't changed even a bit. Okay. All right, let's move on to Strange the Dreamer. I'll try to be quick and pick up like 3 reviews because I don't have enough batteries left. All right, so DNF'd at 5%. Okay. 20%. No one in this book is having a good time, least of all the reader. Wow, that is so harsh. Yeah, I'm having a good time reading this book. I do. So I'm just going to DNF this book because I put it down a while ago because I didn't like it at all, and I know I'm not going to pick it back up. DNF, not for me. Oh, I forgot to say, this one is also 4.28 rating on Goodreads. I did it. I'm done. I've never been so relieved to finish a book in my life. Never again. Okay, but why? No explanation. All right. People thinking of reading this book should be warned of 2 things. This book is a romantic tragedy. The last 2/3 of this book evoked only one emotion for me: dread. Okay. I think the book is grossly mismarketed. The cheerful blue and gold cover with butterflies and the blurb text saying the drink chooses the dreamer, not the other way around, and listing various mysteries made me expect a lighthearted adventure story. Yeah, not really. There's no resolution at the end. The last sentence is... Wait, there's no resolution at the end? The last sentence is because the story was not over yet. The series as a whole may end up enjoyable, but the end of this book walks off a cliff. That's the point of a cliffhanger. It's a duology. It's not supposed to be finished after book 1. Okay. If it weren't for those 2 things, I might be giving this book 5 stars, but instead you gave it a 1? Laini Taylor did a great job of pulling me along and keeping me engaged. I like the florid writing style. This is something that I expected to see and hear. The writing style of Laini Taylor is very flowery, and it's definitely not for everyone. I'm surprised I haven't read it more than that. Although at times the prose was a bit too purple, pulling me away from the story. Characters were vivid and distinct, struggles believable. The overtext for the stars on Goodreads ties my rating to how much I like this book, and I did not like it. What? The overtext for the stars on Goodreads ties my rating to how much I like this book, and I did not like it. What? I don't understand it. I understand you're looking for something a little bit lighter, and it wasn't. I really don't like when people put their ratings, like, how close is a book from being a 5 stars to a 1 star just because you were expecting something light and that's not what you felt? I really don't understand that rating system at all. Anyways, let's see. I had serious trouble finishing this. I skimmed the last 50 pages or so just because I wanted to move on to the next book on my to read shelf. Will probably not read the next book. Honestly, the story seemed like it could have been covered in one book. No, totally disagree with that. And I would have probably have enjoyed it more had it been that way. No, I can definitely tell you there's way too much stuff happening to it being just one book. No way. I give up on this book. Too confusing and not holding my interest anymore. Too many big words. Writing style. You got it. I don't know whether to give this book 1 or 2 stars. I just don't think Laini Taylor books are for me, which is fine. The same thing happened when I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I loved the beginning and then it just went downhill from there. There are very long reviews of 1-star reviews here. DNF, I just couldn't get into this one. It was rather slow. This book actually reminds me of the show Into the Badlands for some reason. I don't know that show. I cannot agree or disagree on that. I was listening to the audiobook and I didn't really like the narrator either. Maybe that contributed, but maybe not. Maybe I will try again in the future since it's so popular. Why give it a 1 star though? That's what's bothering me so much. I mean, it's okay. You have your right to your opinion. You have a right to rate books 1 star, but I don't know. What a disappointment. The first 3/4 of the book was amazing. The plot, the characters, the sass, the writing, whimsical and mysterious. And because of the last 25%, you're rating it a 1 star. Then all of a sudden, the book changes to an insta-love between the 2 main characters who thinks about nothing except making out with each other. Don't agree. Anyways, I'm out of batteries right now, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And now I'm feeling kind of meh because of these reviews, and it attacked my favorite books, and I'm feeling so weird. So yeah, I think I won't be doing that too often. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. It's fine. And I wholeheartedly disagree with everyone that wrote these 1-star ratings, which is okay. I hope you enjoyed this and you had fun. Let me know in the comments if you agree with things that were said in here, either me or the reviewers. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you soon in the next one.